When you see a raven today, what do you think of? For many people, it's a symbol of death, an ominous bird, something dark. But if you had asked a Germanic warrior over 1,000 years ago, the answer would probably have been very different. To them, the raven wasn't simply a bird. It was the eyes and ears of Odin himself. And understanding why tells us a surprising amount about how our ancestors viewed wisdom, war, and the world around them. The raven was one of the most familiar birds in Northern Europe. It survived harsh winters. It adapted to almost every landscape. It followed hunters, it followed travelers, and yes, it also followed battlefields. That last part is important. Long before historians wrote about the Germanic peoples, ravens had become closely associated with war, not because they caused it, but because they always arrived afterward. To ancient people, it must have seemed as though the birds already knew where history was about to unfold. It's easy to see why they inspired both respect and unease. When we think of Wodan, known in Old Norse tradition as Odin, two ravens always appear beside him, Hugin and Munin, usually translated as thought and memory. Every morning they leave him. They fly across the 9 worlds. They observe and they listen. And every evening they return with everything they have learned. And there is something fascinating about that. The most powerful god in Germanic mythology doesn't rule because he sees everything himself. He depends on observation, on memory, on knowledge gathered from the world. Modern readers often imagine these ravens as magical spies. But I think that misses something. They are symbols, thought and memory. Because what good is knowledge if you cannot remember it? And what good is memory if you never stop thinking? Together, they represent something every leader, every craftsman, every explorer needed. The ability to observe carefully and to learn from experience. What's remarkable is that modern science has given us an even greater appreciation for ravens. They recognize individual faces. They solve complex problems. They use tools. They even appear to plan ahead. The ancient Germanic peoples couldn't measure intelligence the way we do today, but they watched nature carefully. And they understood something important. Some animals deserve respect, not because they are beautiful, but because they are astonishing. I think that's one of the things I enjoy most about Germanic mythology. It doesn't separate people from nature. It watches nature and asks what it can teach us. The raven wasn't sacred because it was mysterious. It was sacred because people paid attention to it. And perhaps that's the real lesson. Sometimes, understanding the past begins with looking a little more closely at the world that's still around us. Thank you for watching.